Hey, get inspired, everybody. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Life Inspired, the show where we talk all about how and why people are following God and the crazy, inspiring things He's doing to turn lives, to walk new paths. And so you can watch this program on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or lifeinspiredshow.com. And we do ask that you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page because that does help more people hear these stories. And we don't care if it just touches one life. If there's one person that's supposed to hear today's story and you know who they are, if you'd share it with them, that'd be great. Those are the ways that you can share it too. If they watch YouTube or they go online, you can share them those ways. So thanks for watching. And our guest today, who's going to talk about her turning point, her and then God ... moment, is my very dear friend and praying warrior partner, Audrey Laureys, who runs Comfort Living Design, which is our staging company that we use at Inspired Homes. And so Audrey is quite the prayer warrior. Audrey, thank you for being with us today. We're so glad to have you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we typically are going to ask 3 questions, Audrey. We, know that you're going to tell us a turning point story, and then God stepped in and did something, tapped you on the shoulder, got your attention, or whatever. And so the first question is to set us up. What's the backstory to that turning point? Kind of what was going along life before the dots? What was life like before some turning point you're going to share? A lot of people have multiple turning points, but we typically only talk about one.
Yeah, that's a tough question because I can think of significant pivotal points in my life when um, I learned a lot from it, and it set me in the right direction, and I grew in my faith in God from that. Um, but I would say, just here real briefly, I was raised in a Christian home, and as I got older, I kind of had the attitude, well, my ways are better than his ways, in some aspects.
Oh.
And, but I knew that when I had children and a family, I wanted um, to live as a Christian. As funny as that sounds. Um, so I got married, had children, and in my adult life, I feel like I've had many more challenges than I did growing up. Sometimes it's kind of reversed for other people. Some people have a very difficult childhood or family situation. I had the opposite. I had a very good family situation, great childhood. When I was married is when I had many more challenges. Um, and I guess the first pivotal point was when I had a very difficult situation in my marriage, and it was a very dark time. But that um, brought me to the realization that no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to serve him. He's still King of Kings. He hasn't changed.
Awesome.
He's still a loving God, and I will serve him no matter what. So that was kind of my first big pivotal moment.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of times, like, I think there's a lot of people. I had a great childhood. And I think when you do, you like go into adulthood thinking everything's supposed to always be rosy. And life's hard. And if you didn't have hard growing up, you don't realize that life's hard. And
Right.
so I'm so grateful that you would share that. So what kind of thing did God do? How did you hear His voice to know that you wanted to continue even when things got hard?
That's really when I just started doing a lot of praying, um, to say the least. So I guess it's just was through prayer and reading His Word, and reading really good inspirational books that gave me the right attitude. And it's just been an ongoing process. I can think of a couple of other times in my life since then that, for instance, one time, for whatever reason, Um, I was getting too far off the path, getting too far away from him, I felt. And he showed me in a dream one night what that's like, what it feels like to be out of his presence. And that's all it
Wow.
took for me. Like, I do not want to be
Just
away.
one dream, and you were like, I don't want to go there.
That's right. So that changed my attitude real quick and my
Wow.
choices and stuff. Um, but I would say, and a lot of times it's kind of like a roller coaster with your journey in life and your faith. Um, but I've come to the conclusion for myself, it doesn't have to be that way. I'm hoping for the rest of my life, it's a steady incline. You might have some bumps in the road. You're going to have challenges and disappointments, of course, in life. But my goal is to just continue to go forward and grow um, with God and in a positive way. And I feel like I've been on the right track um, for the longest time in my life without having so many dips, and sidetracks. So um, yeah, so I just encourage people to know that, no matter what happens, you can continue to go forward and you can learn from your mistakes and grow. And I can't imagine not knowing God and not having a relationship with him. I mean, and he's
Right.
everything and he's my everything.
Right. So the one thing though that you said was you've gone the longest stretch of feeling that closeness to him. What is it that you're doing on a daily basis to stay connected and to continue to hear his inspiration and feel his inspiration in your life? What's different in the last period of time that's been the longest? What is there something that's different that is making you hear him better?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I've made it a priority in the morning to have that time with him, alone time with prayer, reading his word, and sometimes listening to an inspirational speaker. But having that time in the morning before you set off on the fast track is so important, and
Right.
just it just gives you such a good foundation for the day too. And I just feel like you go out in the world a lot more confident, having that first time with him in the morning. But yeah, I think um, just striving to know him better, through his word, through prayer, meditation, and fellowship with him, and having people and friends in your life that inspire you and help you grow. And there's certainly a lot of good people out there, speakers and pastors who help you grow too. So I think it's the combination of
Right.
that.
Right. Awesome. Very cool. So, I just really, I'm a morning person too, and I just love that. I think it really does. If you spend the time to get to know him and learn what his voice sounds like when you're alone and it's quiet and you don't hear other stuff, I feel like you can hear him more when the clamoring of the world is going on around you and you can't hear because it's harder to hear because he speaks in whispers, right? And it's hard to hear him when there's a lot of noise. And so we got to shut the noise down to be able to learn to hear him. So I love that. I would love, before we go though, if you could also talk a little bit about some of the times like you and I would go and we literally would go on prayer walks in different parts of South Bend, praying for our community and praying for our country. And I would love if you can share maybe one memory that you have from some of the times that we've done that, what you got out of that. I mean, that's a little off what we normally talk about, but I'd love to share because we've done that together and it's been a great joy for me.
Yeah, I thank you so much for bringing that up. I mean, that was an impact for me too. It inspired me. Thank you for giving me that inspiration, because that definitely gave me a different view too on having a heart for our city and community, and praying for that. But I remember a couple times when we were able to stop and talk to people. Sometimes people even came up to us
Right.
and we were able to share with them. And, you know, we don't know for sure what seeds were planted or what kind of impact, but someday we'll know.
Right.
And
Right.
I also remember you and I were walking down the sidewalk praying, and just out of the blue from nowhere, this young man came up to us, and it was very strange what he was saying. I mean, I don't know what if some people might not understand this, but I feel that it was a very spiritual thing. He was not for us; he was against us, and just like that, is he just disappeared, and he just like vanished. I don't know if you remember that, Diane, but that's
I don't remember this at all.
really, yeah. And
I don't
so
remember.
I thought that was very interesting. I just felt like that was saying that we were doing something good there, and the evil one didn't want us to.
He didn't want us praying. So yeah, very cool. Yep. Well, I thank you so much for sharing, Audrey, and being available. If you guys would like to talk to Audrey about your walk with God and ask, how she's developed hers, I know she would meet with you for coffee or virtually or whatever. So you can message us here on the YouTube or Facebook or lifeinspiredshow.com. However you can message us, we'll get you in touch with Audrey, and you can talk to her about what it's like to walk with God, what it's like to be visited in dreams, that she had a dream and she knew, I don't want that, God. That's not the way I want to walk. I want to walk with you. So, yeah. And also, if you know somebody that needs to tell their story, we're still doing it virtually because of COVID. And so you're totally safe. You can be at your home. But if you want to share your story about how and why you're following God and how He's inspiring you, we'd love to have your story too. So, thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great week. Audrey, thanks again for sharing.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.